everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are taking a look at Uh-Oh by I-DLE. Very excited to look at this. We have a dance practice and a music video. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going with the old school vibe, it looks like. Cute. So we're in the queendom looks is what this looks like for sure. Nice. Okay. Okay. Fun. Nice. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Nice. Cute little squeeze moment there. And then they do a little cross step out of that. Cute. Okay. Fun. That was really fun. Definitely enjoyed that. All right, here we go. Got the music video right here. Boom. Don't expect me to act fake for you. Ooh! Love it. Look, she's got her verse. Yes, ma'am. Hey. Hey. Wow, that's the low-key, interesting, like a corset-y kind of dress vibe right there. That's so interesting, isn't it? On the type of dress. I've never seen that styled like that before. That's cool. Fun. We got our crew of ladies. Hey. It's a diss track to the haters. Don't mess with me. Ah, cool. With the cheers. That's cute. Now, it would have been, because we're using like letter wordplay, they did a C-walk at the end, is what it looks like. It would have been cool if they did something that derives or uses the name, like the letter C, but of course, that's more wishful thinking. Nothing crazy there. I really liked that. I definitely think it's very different than what I've seen from G-I-DLE in their discography so far. Definitely feels hip. This is what it definitely comes across as. That makes me sound old whenever I said it like that, but I mean, it does give off that vibe for the most part. I liked having the dancers at the end of the music video. I think that was fun. It definitely felt more, like a push building to a great place. That so how they had it kind of press out into the music. I mean, not press out, wrong verbiage. Let me change that. How you had it modified, I think, right in the beginning, definitely gives like on when you're scratching a vinyl, it felt like that. So I definitely immediately, first sound out the gate, it kind of puts us into the environment, which is exactly what I thought and what I was expecting. Now, the question would be, did I like the fact that my prediction came true? Yes, to a certain extent. I always like to have something different or elevated about a prediction or a pattern that I would therefore expect about it. There wasn't, unfortunately, anything in this choreo, maybe near the tail end, that really stuck out to me, nor the track itself. I would say what stuck out is the fact that Shuhua had more vocal time, I think was the big thing. But, I mean, you gotta have some iconic stuff with some stuff that's like, okay, cool, I'm glad we did it, but this is not gonna probably be like a top 5 for me. But it's because it's not like they didn't do a great job. I think they did a fantastic job. I just don't think this one doesn't have that kind of memorable fingerprint about it. It feels just kind of like a concept that they're doing. I think it's kind of my underlying note about it. But we're going to talk about it and enjoy it. This rock here, it does look like we're going more the ISO route. But for this, with hip hop, rock and bounce are going to be more of what you naturally look for your generic posture that is held. If you're going to go hip hop, you got to have the proper hip hop posture in it. So for me, I can tell movement wise, this does not look super Doesn't feel like a familiar style on their bodies in comparison to a lot of the other movements that, or choreography that tailors into using heels. So, and that's okay. Like, it's not a bad, this is not a bad thing. This is more of an observation, if anything. So it is interesting that we are talking about this, though. I'm glad they went with the concept. It's fun. Go from side to side, and of course they're doing, for me, this is what this kind of gives that vibe to. You could do an upstairs, downstairs. There's also, I mean, there is a name for this move. Hold on. Boom, boom, and then we take it and rotate it around. So I've just realized too that I just continued on, and I didn't even I stopped the video to go find what I was thinking this move was. It's the bankhead bounce. So I'm sorry, I completely deviated for 2 seconds, but we're back. Yeah, that's called a bankhead bounce, this mess right there. Love it. But they take their formation, and they expand it more towards the front. Cool. Also, you can tell where their center is, so they're trying to tailor it to where they're not really using their, the full space, I think is what it looks like. I mean, they teeter close to the front, so I think they're using this as your center, but they have this line to mark, don't go past it, I would say is what this gives to me. But what's fascinating is I normally see a marker here, but this lined structure I normally see here on the tail end in that way. But I don't mind it. I think it's cool. Not a problem. They take it. Oh, what was that? Oops, my bad. Oh, I missed it once again. Golly, Jess, get it together. Hair flip, bringing it around. Does feel we take our arms. Like I already kind of talked about, pulsing it through, boom, with the accent with the hip. That's fun. Little body roll to move forward. Dun, 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 dun. And then, so they do the chest ISO, and then we ball change it to move to the side. Then we dig it through, so it does feel like we're trying to do a nay-nay. So we have some fundamental moves, there's moves with names in it, but the execution of these moves don't have a degree of authenticity behind them or carriage of they live the culture of the style, if that makes sense. Because you can tell through those who've studied the pocket of it, it doesn't quite feel, unfortunately, that we're hitting that as well here. But it's not, once again, not just an observation, something that, if we continue to see them do this concept, that's something I'm looking forward to seeing, is their movement quality, progression, and elevation, because that's something that naturally happens the more you're exposed to a style, the more curiosity overtakes you, and the more you are inclined to want to dive in and succumb yourself and saturate yourself in the style of it. So that's what I'm excited for. Hopefully, if they do choose to go more of the old school vibe, I'm really specifically talking about the old school perspective they're going off on, because you already saw a little bankhead bounce. I mean, could we give this a Cabbage Patch Reebok? I wouldn't quite give it that, because there was nothing else besides the arm rotation that would equate to it. They do end up doing a smeeze in this as well. It's just, there's just a lot of these little pockets, a little tone wop twist, things like that. But you could tell they're sitting, how they're sitting, they have that same posture like they would if they're doing a heels choreo or they're doing their other work. And that's how I can tell. And I also work with studio dancers who have a heavy training in a particular posture, and they have to learn how to convert it over to to styles like hip hop or other street dance styles that are not the same postures in which they're used to holding themselves. So I'm specifically talking about me as a teacher. I'm very, very, very aware of these types of differences because that's in my day-to-day. So I'm sensitive to it more so, but it's something, once again, makes me excited to see where it goes, how it progresses, how they get better over time. It's good. That's why we marathon them. I like this part. That was really nice. Love that with a little dip in there. Letting the hips move to and fro. I love it. They do it again. Fun little accent to get them to move to a different part in the space, a spot in the space, which was nice. I like the fact they used the box to create a really nice level difference, which was cool. The subtlety here, love that choice with the head from our feature, really nice. I think is that Sujin is my guess, and we're gonna do some subtle guessing today, maybe, we'll see. And I do know some of them have some solo stuff, so I know that eventually I will be familiar with all of them, but it's cool. But I like that she's probably talking about talking, hit with the accent, and then they bleed it around. I love that, oh. Fun. Yeah, da, da. And I like the ISO on that. And then there's this little violin or string section, and they make it a little bit more, they go choppy, and then they smooth it out. And I think it's going, is what I think they're going on there. Yeah, boom, 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 with the strings. That's cool. They take the hands, they bring it around in a fun hinge. I like that choice. And then having your feature match with her head. It's subtle, but so effective. And I like the fact she's sitting, so there's a natural elevation, but she's still able to exude and showcase herself in a different way. It does remind me of when she's sitting on, like, you know, this elevated platform where sometimes they like to sit on cars. Hey, live your life. Love it. Cool. All the vibes. They take it, boom, they go and look at their feature. Really like that. No. Now, is this Yuchi is going to be my guess. So I have a couple of her solos on my spreadsheet, so that's why I'm like, we got to learn these names faster, so by the time I get to her solo work, I at least will be able to recognize her a lot easier. But I like her integration, or her start in her feature. Hit right there. And then we take it out, boom, really nice. And notice that they lean back a little bit more, which is good. Accent with the chest, looks great. Then the walk. Da, 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 da. Did you notice at the tail end that she kind of walked in place? The exact reason is because the moment she goes past that line, you run a huge risk of getting your feet cut off. So they know that. So this whole time they're like, we got to go full out, but also if we get too close, she has to make sure I don't cross this line, because they are going off of where she is. So they have to, like, peripherally make sure they keep their spacing. But if she moves forward, they have to move forward too. If she stays back and holds it in place, they have to calibrate that in real time. So this is fun seeing the dance practice, because you're able to see these little details like that, that you a lot of times you may see in lives, but with getting a camera shot, like, the intention is to showcase the choreo. We have to do this all the time. Like, we have to say, hey, don't go past this line, or your feet will get cut off. Like, it's a really good skill that you end up naturally learning in the space when you're trying to record something. So cool. The accent there, that boom boom, that was cool. I like that choice. Boom boom, it hits the music very well. Fun. And the lean forward, cool. And they go this part, boom, doo 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 doo. Notice that we're focusing a little bit more on our legs and our arms. We don't have a lot of this torso opposition. This rock is what I would call that, which is vital and a key element in hip hop. So I like the hip accent on that. That's cool. But it does kind of just look like choreography. It doesn't feel like we're in the pocket of the track. Now, I've talked about that a couple times on a couple other videos. I will talk about it here with G-Idle, just in case if you are a G-Idle fan and you're just watching the G-Idle content. Whenever I'm talking about being in the pocket, there's two ways to look at it. When it's music-based, being in the pocket is when you hear a band, like in funk styles or in jazz, right? And they're playing and they're on tempo, but there's a groove about it. There's a heartbeat behind it. There's a push, this energy push that takes place by this band playing. That's being in the pocket. You're in the groove of it, is another way to word it. In dance, that is from an analytical standpoint. I got this from Castro, who is a popping educator based out of New York, and he worded it in a pretty great way. So that's why I'm going to use it here. Is when it pertains to popping, and popping is a street style that derives from the West Coast. So in the case with what they're doing, old school does derive more from the East Coast. So we want to keep that in mind. They're different in communities, in cultures. But whenever we're talking about being in the pocket in dance, think about right before the sound disappears. That's when you strike. So it's not right in the middle where the beat takes place. That's too, technically a little too early. That's keeping tempo. But when you want to go doom, 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 versus, like, that's what you want to go for. Is it has this, it feels residual, if that makes sense, but it's still on beat. but it's not, but it's like it follows right behind it. As the sound disappears is when you strike. And that's what the analytical side of being in the pocket is. And in this case, they are kind of just dancing on top of the music on counts, not really going, oh, you know, like there's not this heartbeat, pulsing rock and bounce that are in play on it, which is why is another indicator to me this is just choreo. There isn't a ton of like heavy groove involved in it, but to each their own. Like that's just an observation. It is what it is. Making through, handing it through, da 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 da. Just a little pull, like you grab and pull. Those look fine. Hitting it through, boom, boom, boom. Like we're about to do a hit them, folks. It kind of looks like that's what we're going for, but we don't. We actually go about to hit, and then we end up shampooing it from back to front is what it looks like there. Yeah, it's like goja, like go away. So it goes hit, hit, go away is what I'm equating that to, not a hit them, folks accent, because that goes down. Hitting it through, boom, da da da, and then we take it and move it. Really nice. And there's your little smeeze, but this, so I'm not talking about like the traveling of it. It's not really that. They're doing a good job on this smeeze. A lot of times you do see more of the chest utilized, but whenever you are singing live, I do expect the artist to modify ever so slightly for the sake of stability in vocals, because at the end of the day, when they perform, it's not just about the dance. It is about the singing and the dancing and the overall stage presence involved, because people are not just there to watch the dancing. They're there to watch the group, watch G-Idle. It's cool. Follow. I really like how he deviated. So it goes dun da 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 da. I like the pull. That was nice. I like that choice as well. They go and they brush it back. That's a fun moment. Gotcha. That's nice. It's petty. It says go away all the haters. Take it through. Da 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 da. Little two-step on two sides. Really nice. Back to the column or to our line we go, and now we very quickly went from our straight line and we expanded it out to a fun V. Looks great. Accent there, boom, doo doo doom. Really like her fullness on that. That was really good. And they're sitting it through. Now it's a little different. The focal point's not quite on the hips or the bottom in that section. It does feel like we are bouncing a little bit more, which I love to see. Subtlety there. I think that's Sujin is who I'm going off of. I like that drop from everybody. Da 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 da. Nice with the head. Also, let's talk about this too, just because, like, remember, I'm operating from whatever the track's coming across as, and some of the movements I'm seeing caters to the scope that I'm operating from. I'm operating from an old school justified position, not from there's a chance that they wanted to purposely and intentionally hybrid this to where we wanted to have this old school sound, but a G-Idle movement quality of like, we're going to keep our G-Idle posture, but we're going to showcase an old school sound, which I feel like there is always a way to do that. It's just, I think I kind of already touched on my main points about what I'm singing here. But so just know where I'm operating from is I'm using context clues. That's how I analyze everything. I use context clues of the type of track it is, the movements that are involved, as well as how the formations set up these movements. That's what my indicator is oh, we may be teetering on this genre of street dance, and so I can only go off of my best educated guess here, so keep that in mind. I am human, so if you're like, you didn't get it at all, I'm sorry, you know, we'll just try again next time, you know, it's fine. Little brush. I love the quickness of that. Do. So if anything, they have a lot of really fun ways to showcase their features. That is still very present, and I'm very much a fan of it still. Looks cool. I love that part. This is, that's a Shuha. I think she gets her whole little moment. And I do know in the earlier stuff, she didn't quite have like as much of a heavy presence vocally, but I like her tone. It's actually pretty nice. Dun 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 dun. So we take it. I really like how they take the hands down and they pick up the feet. Looks nice. Bring it through. And they take it through. Boom, doom, doom. They sit into that back hip. Then they take it through. Boom, crown. I think they say crown. So that was a fun wordplay moment there. Then they dig it through. Nice little visual once again. They have great feature reveals. Coming through, sitting in the hips. And they take it. Little pas de bourrée. Throw the arms, boom, doo doo doo. I really like this choice, what they're going for. It does feel like a sugar or like a subtle walk it out, maybe, if we're gonna equate it on brand to the styles that I'm talking about. Though the lower half of the body feels more like a walk it out, but not really with any of those types of hinges or leans that go with it. And they're syncopating it at the top, making it nice, fun accents. So I like what they're trying to go for. They take it up, and then they go and they expand it. They take the chest and accent it with the arms. The press, da, 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 da. I like that simple, simple, double, double, simple. Nice. And they switch it up. So this is a great way to showcase two-part feature where you have one of them here and then she has her moment there and then they go and have their little moment together. So I think that's super fun. And using the formations to very clearly showcase, okay, my feature's over here because she's the, you know, the point of that formation and she's the one facing front and projecting, my other group is facing back. And then the flip happens. My attention naturally gleans over to the side in which they're looking at me. You want to lean in towards those that are giving you attention, which is in this case on my stage left. Cool. No, no, no. Boom. And to the side, 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 side. It's fun. That's a fun vibe. Love step touches with the throws. Those are really nice. I do like those choices. Little chest pump. It says, Gajo, very full. Like, go away. Now, I have heard this move right here. I could be wrong. I've heard it, I think it was from Link. He called that the butt, is what that's called. Do the butt. Do the butt. But they're not doing it in that kind of sequence. It's just the accent is on the hip. So there's a chance there's not really a name for it. But there is a name, like an actual step called the butt. If you were curious about it. It's fun. I like the little dig on that. That was nice to reset it. And then notice that they kind of made it more, you know, rotated, and then it feels like they changed gears is what that felt like. So that was fun. And when you change gears, it's like a car's transition from one gear to another, right? When you change. So that's a really fun movement to showcase a transition in what content you're about to bring. So I like the choreo choice on that. Or changing your texture because they went a little bit smoother in this section right after what we just saw, which I think is cool. Heading through punch and punch looks great. Da da da, yeah. And we head, bring it up. Then we take it through, boom. I really like that with the accent, boom with the chest, love it. Step, step. And I like how she takes the accents out. Once again, I really like a lot of these framing choices and how they feature their girls. I really, really like it in this. That is definitely a keep that around for sure. Love that. Accent through. Cool. And then we go. This part. Boom. Da-na-na-na-na. For me, I would say, if you're going to go for it, I really think a hinge would really do wonders for that part right there specifically. And then we take the hip and we twist it over to the side. I did notice there was at one point, I think I may have missed it at this time. Oh, so they just did one foot. So a lot of times you would see 1 and 2 and 3 and do a tonewat twist and taking the torso. I think my voice just cracked. But like a twist the heels out towards the front and I would take my body and lean it in opposition. I normally see that in this type of setup, but I like this choice personally with just going with the 1 because the 1, you still have an anchor point in the back and you don't have to go so far back in your hinge because you don't have both legs that are causing this momentum to be justified in your hinge. So bounce, bounce, day. I like the brush out on that little chest roll and the pulls are nice. Now that part felt more like a hit and folks, but it felt like we're punching the sky versus making it a moment using the chest. That part, cool. I mean, bringing the arms down, great range on everybody for that part. There's your squeeze. All that we've already kind of talked about with your smees, using once again your chest, but I think it's Chonky, who is the originator of the smees. Fun fact. I think that's his name, right? And he was able to. I love the fact that he's able to take ownership of it too, and be like, "Hey, I'm the originator. I'm the creator of the smees. Let's learn it together." Like I love it when people who have party moves like that they're able to be like, yeah, I did that, and people like respect that, and they don't come after them for like, how dare you try to claim it? Well, they made it, so you know, like, or they're the ones that made the structure or the variant of whatever fundamental it was that popped off. I'd say give the flowers where flowers are due. So that's a little side note. Love that. And the straight line, love the kick on that. That was fun, and then having everybody turn except for your feature. I love that transition a lot. This is awesome too. I love it. I can see that in some case, one of our girls, I think that's Yuchi, I think she's a little too far on the inside, because notice how shadowed she is. So I would have her scoot out just a smidge so she would match her mirror. And then I would say Shuhua would need to scoot out a smidge as well, just so it feels, because this feels like I'm able to very clearly see everybody, and they feel a little bit smushed right here. So that would be my note there. This could just be because it's a dance practice and that's just what happens. That's fine, but I really like the level showcased here. I naturally want to watch my girl that is on, I think that's Sujin. Seeing her right there at the top, it's really clear shot. We're here to watch her. Let's go. And everybody else is looking a little down with the head accents. Cool. Uh-oh. I like her tone there. That's a really great place for it. Cool. There's your head. Once again, so it's very subtle. I don't mind the fact that you have every other line sitting their weight in a different side. I actually really like that. Because you have your first line, which is just Sujin. Soljin? Yeah. It's having her sit in the left hip, and then you have line 2 sit in the right hip, and then you have line 3 sit in the left hip. So I like that every other. Whenever I get someone's name right, I sometimes lose the original person's name that I got first. Like I mess it up. I think that happens with Yoonho and Jongho from ATEEZ. That's the exact thing, because you'll notice sometimes I say Youngho with a Y, because I just take their names and put them together. So I think with Soljin and Soljin, oh, see, now I gotta go check, hold on. Soyeon and Sujin, like, that's gonna really trip me up, but hey, it's fine. All is fair in marathons and love. Cool. I really do like the subtlety of this. Really nice. Less is more. This right here, I love this. And I know they put it in the music video in like an earlier section. I love this right here. It's a head bounce. Like, I can get on board with that. Honestly, if they did that in the very beginning, I think that would have sold it a little bit easier than what they were trying to do in the beginning. But that could be just a preference. I like that. That was nice, having the 3, and you notice that this part right here worked because how they were sitting and their hips were already in the place they needed to be. So when they started that was the smoothest transition. Awesome. That was a fun little moment. That part looks really fun whenever they have a lot of people, and it still looks good with all of them too. This definitely feels like a hype vibe. You got little smees where they're traveling it across, and then for this part right here, it does feel like we're doing like a heel tap crossover. Some people may say that looks like a top rock. I wouldn't give it a top rock because of how it's bounced, but also with a cross step like that, a lot of times you would do the ball of the foot and transfer your weight onto the ball of the foot, because it's a prep for power moves and floor work. So but I like the heel tap on that. I think that's really fun. That part, boom 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 with a knee, that's really fun. Little Z in it. So notice they made a zigzag, and the zigzag has a Z, which is cool. That is I think we call that a C-walk. And when they made a little girl gang in the video, so it makes sense to do like a gangster dance here, right? But I'm always someone where I go off of a lot of conversations that I've had with people in the community and in different various street dance cultures. It really depends on who you talk to, which determines the sensitivity of the usage of a C-walk in a choreography. A lot of people do misrepresent what a C-walk is, and I'm not talking about G-IDLE, I'm just saying in general, it is not a hip-hop move, it is a gang move, right? It's a gangster move. Am I calling them gangsters? No. Do they want to be? I don't know. I'm not them, and that's fine. But don't take what I'm saying, because this happened before when I brought this up, and I'm going to continue to bring it up because it's important to talk about, you know? It's a move that like the variants and stuff, like great examples of people who've used it. Snoop Dogg, you have to understand like the context in which he was using it, and he was wearing blue bandana from head to toe, repping at the Super Bowl. So it's like there's a lot of context that stems from a C-walk means crip walk. So now, is a C-walk kind of viralized and is used a lot as a transition step in choreo? Yes. But I do think it's important. Like, I'm not projecting them as like they're affiliating with gangs, they're doing this, that, and the other. Not at all. I think what they're doing is like the SMEs, like the usage of the SMEs, and a lot of these movements have a viral overlap about them. And so I would say that they and the choreographer were intending most likely movements that are really fun transitions that tie into other elements of party moves that have that just complement well because of the underlying posture in which you hit them. So that's what I'm going off of in that. But I just think it's very fascinating that we can have the conversation of, well, what does C-walk even mean? Crip walk. What is a crip walk? A crip walk is a gang dance. You know, like it derives from the Crips. So I think it's totally okay to talk about, if that makes sense. I digress. But I like this ending right here where they go the L-O. L-O. O, like the mouth. Oh, and then it goes V. And I think they go L-O-V-E, but V and E sound very similar, which shout out to them for saying V, because I do know Korean, like the phonetics. I don't think the V or Z sounds are used in whenever you speak Hangul. There's certain sounds, I don't think they use the B, like the P-up and B-up, to represent the Z's and the V's. So that's very well done on a diction side. L-O-V, like I could tell, like we're going for V. I just didn't know, did they say V-E or if they just said V. That's fine. I like this across though, because it does look like the letter E. I think that's really cool. But I mean, all in all, I like the fact that we tried this concept because it definitely feels more, it's different than what they've shown, and I think it's important to explore different concept choices. I felt that way about 17, I felt that way about ATs, and even if you have a big lore, you can still try different concepts within it. Dreamcatcher, because there's going to be a niche that works for them. Pros of this routine is it exposed their body to different sequences that we hadn't seen from them yet. That's awesome. Another thing to look at is their formations are still freaking sick. For a group of 6, there's probably one of the most impressive in terms of feature representation I've seen. Love it. The usage of the box, very practical, and definitely was used in not a predictable way, but in a familiar way where I've seen it used in that way before. But I really like how they got off and on the box or used it because it didn't feel out of place and it didn't feel awkward. So I think that was awesome. Areas that I am looking forward to seeing of improvement would probably be the rock and the bounce representation when you do decide to do a more fundamental old school style. I mean, if you want to see a good example, I think Ace Supernatural is a good example of using party moves, but they do it in they have a pretty good way of executing them. Of course, I feel like with everybody, when you learn choreo, there's always going to be areas of improvement. I would say that to myself, but they have a good example of like being on the right track with it, if that makes sense. But in this case, like I'm glad we got to see it and talk about it. I think this was really fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more G-I-DLE, I should have it. I got a lot of it on YouTube, but I will always have more on Patreon if that interests you at all. I am right in the middle of a G-I-DLE marathon. It is Queendom themed, so that also means I've been actively looking at their time on Queendom. So there's a chance that some of my reactions or analysis are going to be a little out of order just because of some performances that I will end up seeing on the show and requests of Patreon of like, hey, can you wait on this one until they perform it on Queendom during your schedule? And so I'm being respectful of that. I think that's totally fine. And I'm looking forward to it very much so. Once again, my name is Jess and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.